on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. How's it going, Bills Mafia? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast post-game show, as obviously the Buffalo Bills fall to the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, that is 32-30 on a Hail Mary TD pass from Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. That's the story of the game. That's what everybody's talking about. But my job on this show is to illustrate, paint the picture of the big picture of what people are not talking about, what they aren't talking about nearly enough, nearly as much as they should be, what the real story, what is the real story of this game, not what the majority of the media is saying that is the story as far as the Hail Mary. Honestly, I will say this. The Hail Mary from Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins was one of the best plays I have seen in a long time. And one of the best throws, one of the best catches, sure as hell, one of the best plays I've seen in quite some time. And, I give credit to the Arizona Cardinals for making this game a much closer game than what it should have been. An extremely close game. This game should not have even been a close game. It was a close game, and we as Bills fans only have the Bills to blame for that. This game should not have been close, and I will start off by setting the tone on the show today by saying that this game should not have been a close game. As I always say, I want to hear from the Bills fans, from the Bills Mafia. So hop on here, ask me some questions. I would greatly appreciate, hearing from you as, this show continues. I know that you guys got a lot to say, and I know that you guys have a lot of awesome opinions that I can get to. But as I like to, acknowledge, outside of the fact that this is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast post-game show, I want to remind you all that the Thomas Take Sports Podcast is available on all major podcasting platforms, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. You could subscribe on YouTube to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast and like the Thomas Take Sports Podcast on Facebook, where you could be tuning into this show, as well as YouTube. And obviously my Twitter handle is on the ticker below, at Ryan Thomas Take, and Instagram as well, at Ryan Thomas Take. I build this game as the dual threat duel between Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, and I had great anticipation for this game. I thought that this game would be a battle. I thought this game would be close. I thought this game would be a battle between two future stars in this league, and Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. And they're two stars in the league right now, but I think there'll be two stars at the quarterback position that will be around for a long, long time. And this was a sign of things to come for both gentlemen at the quarterback position, that both of these guys are not just here, but they are here to stay. I think that's the big picture, looking at this game just from an NFL perspective, taking my Bills fandom out of it. Kyler Murray and Josh Allen both showed up yesterday. Both had a lot of electrifying moments in this game, and it was a very exciting game. I have to say, it was an extremely exciting game. Tuning in, watching Kyler Murray and Josh Allen literally go drive for drive against one another. There were a lot of facets of this game that made this game a memorable one. Unfortunately, what people remember from this game is just one play. And I think that's extremely unfortunate for Bills fans especially. It's fortunate for Cardinals fans that we're able to get this win in the waning seconds of this game. But I think it'll get lost. This game might get lost in the shuffle of just how great a game, just how great a battle this was. The dual threat duel that was Josh Allen versus Kyler Murray, the Buffalo Bills and the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Allen, I'd like to get to his stat line first. He was 32 of 49 yesterday with 284 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Those were his passing yards on the day, passing stats on the day. Look, guys, the beginning of the game, for me, I was smiling ear to ear. The Buffalo special was back. Isaiah McKenzie to Josh Allen passing touchdown. That was phenomenal. McKenzie rolls out to the right on a reverse type play, and then McKenzie throws to the left, throws it to who else? Josh Allen, who jukes his way into the end zone for the Bills' first touchdown of the game. I thought, here we go. This is going to be fun. This is the type of game we're going to see. It's going to be a high-flying, high-paced, pressure cooker game for both the Bills and the Cardinals. It was that. But for the Buffalo Bills to come out early swinging, I had a lot of energy watching this game at home. As this game kind of flowed, you knew that this game was going to have a climactic ending no matter who won it. And for Buffalo to come out early with that Buffalo special, I thought, Brian Daboll, here we go. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. Let's see what he's going to do the rest of this game. Is he going to go attack that weak secondary of the Cardinals, which have not been good this season at all? The Arizona Cardinals have been far better against the run in terms of their run defense than they have been on the back end of things in the pass defense. So I knew that Buffalo would come into this game with a pass-heavy game plan. And they did. A 16-9 lead at half. Buffalo takes a 23-9 lead in the third after Allen finds Cole Beasley, who had a day again. Cole Beasley has been an extremely reliable target for Josh Allen these last few weeks, especially in yesterday's action. Cole Beasley was finding ways to find cracks in the defense over the middle of the field, on slant patterns, on kind of bubble screen patterns. I thought Cole Beasley was fantastic, and in a short window, he was getting that separation that he has been able to get over the course of his career time and time again, showing up as a reliable option for Josh Allen in this offense. And as you can see right now, what am I doing on this show? I'm talking about the positives in this game first, and there were plenty of negatives. As I touched on it, this game should have never, ever come down to one play. And that is the most frustrating part about this game, is that the majority of people out there will look at this game as a one-play game, and that's all she wrote. No game should ever come down to one play. No game should ever be put on the shoulders of one player, a kicker. It should never happen. It does, because football is football, and things happen in a game. It's a back-and-forth battle out there. But at the same time, we had this game well in hand. We had a 23-9 lead in the third, and a recurring theme that I think there is no excuse for this. There is no excuse for the fact that the third quarter woes strike again, as the Bills were outscored 17-7 in the third, blowing our 23-9 lead essentially in the blink of an eye. Our offense had these short drives filled with pass attempts, 5-play drives, 4-play, 3-and-outs, drives that were lackluster, giving the ball back to the Arizona Cardinals, allowing the Arizona Cardinals to creep back into this one. It should have never happened. And I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room as far as how this game became out of hand, and whether people agree with me or not, that's up to them. This is a sports show. I don't expect every single person to disagree with me. I've gone back and forth with, tons of Bills fans over the years on certain topics, some of which I ended up, being on the right end of, and some of which I ended up on the wrong end. I didn't think Kyler Murray would be the quarterback that he is right now. I'm more than happy to admit I was wrong on that one, but I did say that I thought Josh Allen was the perfect fit for this team. So I'd rather be right about the Bills and wrong about the Cardinals, right? So what made this lead out of hand? The Buffalo Bills defense bites on a Murray option, making the score 23-16. Zane Gonzalez then kicks a field goal to make it 23-19. And then the Bills offense comes back out onto the field, has another lackluster drive right within that third quarter. The fact that they can't sustain a drive in the third quarter for anything, if Josh Allen knew what the problem was, I think they'd fix it. I don't think anyone on this offense, including offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, even knows what the problem is with this offense in the third quarter. It has been a recurring theme in games that they've won. It has been a recurring theme each and every week this season. You go look at each and every box score. I guarantee you that in the majority of the box scores of the 2020 NFL season for the Buffalo Bills, they are outscored in the third quarter. Sometimes by a lot, sometimes by little. Regardless, they're outscored in the third quarter. I can't remember a game off the top of my head where they outscored their opponent in the third. There's probably a game out there. There might be. But right now, hopping into my mind, I'm not seeing it. So 23-19, the Bills then give the ball back to the Cardinals. The Bills then eventually bite on another Kyler Murray scamper. He runs it in from 15 yards out. The Cardinals make it 26-23. Here I'm thinking, watching this game at home, thinking to myself, this game is completely blown up in our faces. This game is out of reach. I don't think that we're going to be able to pull this one off. I'm thinking negatively. But what allows an opposing team to come back? And that's the big question with this game. What allowed the Arizona Cardinals the opportunities that they received and then took advantage of to come back down 23-9? What was it? How did it happen? What was it that made it, kind of go down this path? And it's the elephant in the room as well, that nobody really seems to want to acknowledge. I don't understand it. People in the media don't want to acknowledge it. Bills fans kind of seem to think that this coach has done a phenomenal job and everything's been sunshine and rainbows. But the elephant in the room that no one wants to acknowledge, that I'm willing to acknowledge right here, right now on the Thomas Take Sports podcast, is that Brian Daboll has had an inability to establish any sort of a run game essentially all season long. And when you can't establish a run game in any which way, and you can only move the ball passing via the passing game, Arizona started to expect the passes because they knew the run wasn't coming. They knew that they were shutting down the run. Then they were able to stop the passes, shorten these Bills' drives, contain Josh Allen, force Josh Allen to throw from in the pocket, which he can definitely do. But much like Kyler Murray, if you force him to throw in the pocket rather than extending a play, sometimes those guys can get a little erratic. And Allen started to become, dare I say, a little erratic in those moments in the third quarter on those drives. Brian Daboll sure as hell didn't do him any favors, throwing 49 times in a game. And worse yet, you look at the stat sheet of this Buffalo Bills run game, or lack thereof, 35 total rushing yards combined for Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. The Bills have the 29th ranked rushing attack in the National Football League. This is a passing league. Nobody throws more on first down than the Buffalo Bills. This is a passing league. I get that. But when you have a 23-9 lead, you have to play small ball. You have to shorten the game. You have to speed up the clock, and you have to give your defense a rest, which the Buffalo Bills were unable to do yesterday, especially in the third quarter, allowing the Arizona Cardinals to creep back into this one, forcing their defense out on the field time and time again, and really essentially leaving the running game out to dry. Devin Singletary, 2 carries, 2 rushing attempts in the entire game. Now, I'm also willing to acknowledge Bills fans will tell me, well, they can't really put together any sort of a rushing attack. They've been unsuccessful at putting together any sort of a rushing attack. I think that is true. They haven't been able to put together any sort of a rushing attack, but have they honestly put out a wholehearted effort to run the football? I was talking to a gentleman last night on Twitter, and I said, basically, when the Buffalo Bills decide to run the football, it is in the most painfully obvious situations, whether it's down and distance-wise or the formation itself. The run formations that they put out there in running plays are extremely obvious to the opposing defense. If they're obvious to me, and I'm watching the game at home, they're obvious to everyone, including the announcers, including the opposing coaches, including the opposing defense. And for Buffalo, what a disparity this is. What a disparity this is to have the 5th-ranked passing attack and the 29th-ranked rushing attack. 5th-ranked passing attack based on rankings in the National Football League. Allen and Diggs. Allen and Diggs currently lead the league in passing yards and receiving yards. So, the passing game has had its moments. This is a pass-first offense. I understand that. I'm not saying I want the Bills to go from being a pass-first offense to a run-first offense. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in moments in a game, when the Bills have a 23-9 lead especially, you have to find a way to establish a run game. You have to spread the defense thin, meaning the Cardinals. You have to wear their defense down. You have to speed up the clock, and you have to allow your defense to take the breather that they need. And one thing I'll say about Brian Daboll in terms of his play calling that I've said for the last, 2-3 years, that it doesn't seem like he's thinking of the other side. It seems like sometimes he's thinking of only what his offense can do rather than allowing his offense to allow the defense to get that breather. Essentially hanging the defense out to dry with his lack of consistent play calling in terms of situational play calling, down and distance play calling, or establishing any sort of a running game within this game. And I know a lot of people like Brian Daboll. They like what he's done with Josh Allen. I offer you this. Where was Brian Daboll prior to Josh Allen? What was he doing for the Buffalo Bills or for anyone prior to linking up with Josh Allen? What was he doing for the Buffalo Bills prior to linking up with Stephon Diggs? If you can't see where I'm going with this, I think Daboll has benefited mightily from the fact that this Buffalo Bills offense on paper has more talent on it, and that is why Daboll has benefited. Largely, these players have bailed out Brian Daboll's repeated play calls. Play calls, pass, passing on 2nd and 4. I mean, is that really necessary? Is that sensible? Does that make sense? Is that what you guys think is sensible? I don't think that is sensible to me. And I think that is a key factor as to why the Bills have allowed the LA Rams to come back into that game a few weeks back. Why they let the Jets kind of hang around in that second game, even in the first game. Why they let the Miami Dolphins come back and somewhat hang around. Their inability to establish a run game. And the problem is not the running backs that this team has. People are saying, Devin Singletary is not good enough. Zach Moss is not good enough. Those guys are plenty good enough. Those guys can make things happen. But how many times yesterday, did you guys see the Buffalo Bills run the football on a dive, on a halfback dive, up the middle? I know they're a little bit softer up the middle without Morse. I know they're a little bit softer up the middle without Cody Ford. But to not even attempt it is a whole other thing entirely. To not even attempt it is wrong under any reason. It is wrong. There's nothing that can convince me otherwise of that. And people saying, well, this is a pass-first league. That's fine if they want to be a pass-first team, but when you get a 23-9 lead, if you pass and you are stopped, it puts your defense right back out on the field. It's just common sense. You need the run game when you have a lead. You have to establish a run game when you have a lead to close the show. It's the same reason the New England Patriots came back on the Atlanta Falcons. The stupid offensive coordinator for the Falcons was passing the football when they were up 28-3. New England's defense buckled down, hunkered down, got in front of the ball, batted some passes down, got the offense back out on the field, did it again. Before you knew it, it was a close game, and then the Patriots ran away with it. I think the play calling in this game gave the Arizona Cardinals a window of opportunity that the Buffalo Bills honestly couldn't shut. They were squeezing it down, trying to close it, but they couldn't slam it shut. So the third quarter woes strike again, as I said. They're outscored 17-7. The entire season, their third quarter offense has been abysmal. It's been one of the worst in the NFL. And, people are saying that Brian Daboll should be the next head coach in the National Football League, offensive coordinator turned NFL head coach. I'm on that next level as far as my mindset with that. I'm thinking Obviously I think he's done some really good things for Josh Allen, but has he done things well for this entire offense in terms of winning us games? We were in the position to win this game, and then we weren't in the position to win this game, then we were in the position to win this game, and it should have never been that way. It should have only been we're in position to win this game. The offensive coordinator should not put your team in jeopardy of losing a game when you have created a 23-9 lead. It shouldn't happen. So, I want to dive into the end of this game. And I'm not going to lie to you. This loss does rank up there as far as one of the worst losses that I've experienced as a Bills fan in recent memory. I can rattle off some of the losses that I've seen over the last 15, 20 years, just rattling those off in my head. The Jason Elam kick in Orchard Park as time expired, playing the Denver Broncos. I remember that one. The Nick Folk Monday Night Football game where they forced 5 turnovers against Tony Romo and Wade Phillips, and T.O. was on the Cowboys at that time. It was a high-profile Monday Night Football game. Dallas coming to Buffalo, Orchard Park, and Buffalo loses it in the waning seconds. Dick Duran tried to ice Nick Folk. He iced him, and Nick Folk made it then, and then he made it again. I think that's how that happened. I can't really remember. I blocked it out, to be honest. I know Nick Folk got the game-winning field goal, but I can't remember if he made it when Duran tried to ice him. And, of course, I can't forget, Leotis McKelvin fumbling the football on that kickoff return, putting the Patriots right in the red zone, and the greatest quarterback ever with an ample opportunity to, get a winning touchdown and win that game. So, we've seen some really bad losses. The last one that comes to mind prior to this one was the Houston Texans AFC wildcard game last year. And I'm laughing because, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, but at the same time, nobody loses. I feel like no team loses like this. It's like the Bills, when they lose sometimes, it is just crushing. It is crushing. It's like, oh my God, it's crushing. And it's happened throughout their whole franchise history. Obviously, those Super Bowls, 4 times it happened. So, I have to talk about this Hail Mary, and I gotta be really. I don't want to say careful, because it's my show and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I speak my mind. I'm going to say what I got to say here. And the viewers and listeners that view this show, watch it on the stream and listen to it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that. You guys deserve to hear my true take on anything. You guys are tuning in. You guys are supporting me and putting the show on another level. So, I got to be brutally honest with this play. I've watched this play. I have watched this play and watched and watched and watched and watched. I've watched this play probably 40 times in the less than 24 hours. And people will say, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing that to yourself? Why would you watch this play 40 times in less than 24 hours? I watched it the first time live, obviously, and I see the same thing that I saw the first time I watched it. All the 39 other times I've watched it, I've noticed the same exact thing, and I can't get this out of my head. Kyler Murray is a stud. That's confirmed. We can accept that. We can tip our cap to him and say, Kyler Murray is a stud. In fact, I will say I got Madden 21 right here. Lamar Jackson's on the cover. I'm willing to say that Kyler Murray will be on the cover of Madden 22, rightfully so. He's got my vote. I think that makes sense, right? I think that makes a ton of sense. But at the same time, Kyler Murray rolls out to his left. He's rolling out to his left. He's throwing off of his opposite foot, going in the opposite direction, be that he's a right-handed quarterback. He's not Tua rolling out to the left. as a left-handed guy. He's rolling out to the left as a right-handed quarterback, and there's no one there. He's got a clear vision, a clear view to just heave it, set his feet, and throw it 43 yards down the field where he sees none other than DeAndre Hopkins, who is the worst guy to go up against in this situation, period. In the National Football League, the worst guy outside of Stephon Diggs, who is one of the best contested ball-catching receivers in this game, in the game today. DeAndre Hopkins is right there. Both of those guys, you can rank them any which way you want, but DeAndre Hopkins and Stephon Diggs are both, they should be regarded as two of the best receivers in the league, two of the 5 best receivers in the league, however you want to slice it. That's up to you guys. I'll say 2 out of the best 5. I'll just plainly say it that way, right? So Murray rolls out to the left. He's got a clear vision, a clear view, 43 yards of green grass in front of him to chuck it deep to DeAndre Hopkins, the best guy that you could throw a Hail Mary to, arguably in the game. You have Trey White in the end zone, who's been trailing Hopkins. You have Micah Hyde, the safety, who has been trying to provide that backup protection for Trey White, backup coverage, I should say. And Trey White goes up. He's got his hands up like this. He's going up to catch the ball. Micah Hyde is going up to meet the hands of DeAndre Hopkins and the ball because Hyde is behind DeAndre Hopkins. It's not in front of him. Trey White's in front of him. Micah Hyde's behind him. When the ball is thrown in the air and Kyler Murray zings it 40-plus yards in the air, Jordan Poyer was not involved in that scrum yet. Jordan Poyer comes across the center of the end zone practically, seeing that the ball is on a perfect, accurate line, magnetizing to DeAndre Hopkins' hands and his path of his jump in the end zone. And Poyer comes in to swat the ball. In doing so, he bumps Trey White off the play. DeAndre Hopkins is able to cleanly catch the ball, fall on it, and scores the touchdown. Now, I honestly don't know whether Poyer getting involved on the play would have changed the result or not. But it sure didn't help. Poyer coming from the center of the end zone to try to swat this ball down, and he knocks Trey White out of the play completely. They bump into each other. The carom of Poyer running into White then forces Hyde to fall back further away from Hopkins, forces Hopkins to fall forward onto the ball, and it was a mess. My first thought in that instance is that. My second thought in this instance is, yeah, you had your 3 best defensive backs in the end zone covering the best receiver on the opposing team. You would think that 3 against 1, right? You would think that would be enough. But I thought there should be more people back there in that end zone. I thought that where were the other, 2 corners, or where was another linebacker? Where was another? To me, you never leave DeAndre Hopkins with a clear route path, which he had. You watch this play again from any which angle. You can find it online, anywhere. DeAndre Hopkins had a clear route where he could just run straight to the end zone. And they knew he was going to the end zone. It was 9 seconds left. Do or die. Make something happen. And this Bills defense allowed DeAndre Hopkins to have a clear route into the end zone. The fact that they allowed Hopkins to have a clear route to the end zone was the mistake. That's the mistake. Why allow Hopkins the opportunity to get into the end zone on a long route in coverage? That's my take on it. I mean, it's been seen time and time again. The Hail Mary is obviously a notorious play. We've seen how a lot of defenses have been able to defend it or not defend it. But what have they done? What has each defense tried to do? They try to get as many guys on the receiver as possible. But First step, you try to not let that receiver make it to the end zone. Drape over him. Don't play prevent to the point where you're letting anyone and everyone get in the end zone. It's very tough in this league to stop a Hail Mary in 2020. And that's my next point. In 2020, it's tougher to stop a Hail Mary now than it's ever been. If you touch a receiver, if you sneeze on a receiver within 5 yards, you're okay. Beyond that, we knew that DeAndre Hopkins wasn't running for 5 yards. We knew he was going to the full 43. We knew that if, worst case scenario, Kyler Murray knew that if he chucked it into the end zone and Trey White even sneezed on DeAndre Hopkins while DeAndre was trying to run to the end zone, they would have thrown a flag, would have been in close position to get in the end zone. Really, what the problem of this game was, is, and always will be, is not the fact that this Hail Mary happened. It is the fact that the Buffalo Bills had a 23-9. I can't even say it. They had a 23-9 MF lead, and they blew this game because their offensive coordinator continuously provided this defense with short rest by not establishing a run game, by putting the offense out on an island to only pass the ball. How many times did Patrick Peterson almost have an interception compared to the interception that he actually had? I go back to Josh Allen rolling out to his left on these double play action plays that I can't stand, that aren't effective whatsoever. He fakes one way, fakes to the other way, then rolls to the other way, throws off his back foot. His feet aren't set because he's in space, but there's somebody coming after him because they see that he's trying to throw the ball. They rush him. He throws it a half count too late, and the ball gets jumped, and it's a pick. If you're going to throw it 49 times a game, why put your quarterback out on an island by himself, rolling out to the left side, the opposite side of his body on second down? I'm sorry, guys. I'm not saying I'm John Madden. I'm not saying I'm Tom Landry. I'm not saying I'm Bill Walsh. I'm not, obviously. But some of these play calls over these last 3 years have been just so flabbergasted. I'm just flabbergasted by it. And what is even more troubling to me is that nobody's talking about it. I feel like I'm just living in a fantasy land thinking that, am I the only one that notices that our offense can't establish a run game? Am I the only one that notices that our offense can't provide our defense with hey, you guys stopped the Cardinals multiple times. Let's pay it forward. Let's put out a long drive, milk some of this clock, and make Kyler Murray play catch-up. Nobody has been able to do that this year. Nobody has been able to make Kyler Murray play catch-up. If you make Kyler Murray play catch-up, he can't do the things that he can normally do. He is forced to throw, not run. You need yardage quicker, you got to throw. You can't run as much when you need yards quick. And running the ball runs out the clock. This is football. It's the same game that it was in the 1920s. The same concept of running the ball runs out the clock. Passing the ball can obviously get you yards quicker, move you up the field quicker. But if you're being stopped in the passing game, your offense is as good as nothing. And that's what we saw in the third quarter. So, let's get to some of these comments here. Oh my God. And I didn't even acknowledge this. One of the drives, the Buffalo Bills looked like my high school football team. They get the ball, they're moving backwards and backwards and backwards. It was like, what is this, the SCLSU Mud Dogs without Bobby Boucher? Like, what is going on? They couldn't even get a first down. Anytime they moved the ball forward, it went backwards. Anytime they tried to move the ball backwards, it went backwards, and then it went backwards again on a penalty. 3rd and 33. What the hell? That's I didn't even get to that yet. So thanks for commenting that, whoever did. I appreciate it. So Doug makes a great point. He says, aside from the third quarter, I thought the defense played a stellar game, holding Murray in check for the most part. Edmonds and Klein seem to be all over the field. I agree with you. And when you look at the defense did everything it could do for only so long. The implosion that the defense had in the fourth quarter, or beyond that, third quarter as well, is due to the fact that this Bills offense was just so inept. They could not stay on the field long enough for this defense to even catch a breath, get a drink of water. I mean, you look at the play-by-play, drive for drive numbers. Bills 4-play drives, 7-play drives. Then you're punting or giving the ball back to Arizona. I mean, the momentum dump that this defense probably felt creeping up their back, like hairs in the back of the neck, like, we know that this is not going in the right direction, like that sixth sense feeling. Man, that had to be terrible for this defense. And AJ Epinesa made a big play trying to stop Kyler Murray. There were a lot of plays made. I thought they contained Murray pretty well. I would agree with you, Doug, up until, late in the game when that defense was worn out. John Saracen. He says, what do you think of Tyler Bass now? Here's what I think. Obviously, I touched on Bass too, and I'll post this, and go into the headline here. Tyler Bass is a downtown kicker. 54, 55, 58. I'm feeling great at these points in the game, thinking, well, if the offense can't get things going and they have to force Tyler Bass to kick a field goal, and not just kick a field goal, but kick a field goal in Arizona, let's see what this guy's got. Let's see this boot that everybody's been talking about, the golden boot that is Tyler Bass. We saw it 3 times, 54, 55, 58. And we have a lot of reasons to be excited about that. But imagine if the Bills turned those drives that resulted in those 54, 55, 58-yard field goals into touchdowns, we wouldn't be talking about a Hail Mary. Right? So that's another side of it too. I think Tyler Bass 100% gained his confidence after he kicked 6 of 8 against the Jets. I think that changed his whole psyche, his whole mentality. He's looked fantastic ever since. He missed that one field goal that was a 61-yarder, but really, wind pushing against him, all that stuff. And I'm not even really counting that. He's been essentially perfect since that Jets game. So let's get to some other comments here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Doug, for the comment. Sam is referring to the run game on YouTube. He's got the comment that states, hopefully we can establish that when Ford and Morse come back. I'm pretty sure he's referring to the run game. Man, it's week freaking 10. It's going to be week 12 by the time these Bills play again. We got our bye next week. We still haven't been able to put together a run game. I feel so bad for Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. They are being completely underutilized in this offense, and I've seen tweets from Bills fans. I love the Bills Mafia. I love them to death. But the fact that people are saying we need a better running back. No, we don't need a better running back. Those two guys are fine. They're more than fine. Both of those guys, I believe, could be 1,000-yard rushers in this league. And if Brian Daboll was as great as everyone thinks he is, they would be. I'm sorry. I mean, I've had enough. I've had enough of people saying, why do you think Daboll is not as great? I think he's good. I think he's good in certain facets, but in terms of play calling and situational play calling, it has never been up to snuff for me. Not in my eyes. And I know this team is 7-3, and I'm thankful for that. I'm happy about that. But we got Miami breathing down our necks. Miami's won 5 straight. And you also have the Patriots who just beat the New England Patriots just beat the Baltimore Ravens last night. So you got them breathing down our necks as well. This division was ours to win, and now this division is ours to lose. They better not lose this AFC East division this season. It would be a colossal failure if the Bills cannot come away with the 2020 AFC East title. It would be awful if that doesn't happen. And I'm going to hold out hope. There is positivity heading your way. Trust me. So, Ken really brings it home with this comment that we are what we are. We are good enough and we are bad enough. We play up to or down to our opponents. I've been saying that this whole season. In particular, we play down to the level of our opponent or play up to the level of our opponent. I don't know what that is. What is the reason for that? Why? What is the reason? Is it one reason or is there 5, 10 different reasons? I don't know. What I do know is that is the reality of the situation. They play down to the level of their opponent. Even when they're up, Rams, Cardinals, they let these teams come back into it. Even in games, even against Seattle, they let Seattle get some points at the end of that game. Why? For what? I don't know. And Sam says you have to laugh so you don't get mad. Yeah, you do. Louis, I'm going to read this one because it's such a long comment. It covers the screen. Louis Asinato says, right on, Ryan. Thanks, buddy. We had like maybe 10 run plays the entire game. No damn excuse for that. This issue needs serious attention now. It's hardly talked about. I'm with you on this 100%. I appreciate that. I think that if you can't run the football in the NFL, you are dead in the water. You have no shot. I don't care if it's 2020. I don't care how futuristic and analytic and the passing is the way and this is a passing league. You're damn right it's a passing league. Those are the plays that move the chains in this league now. That with the rules set, you can pass the ball more effectively. For Pete's sake, did you guys catch this? Did you guys catch last week when Joe Flacco passed the legendary, undeniable GOAT, at least of the 80s, Joe Montana, for passing yards in a career? If that doesn't tell you that this is a passing league, I don't know what will. Joe Flacco doesn't deserve to make Joe Montana a ham sandwich, let alone pass him in the all-time passing yards ranking list. That goes to show you how much of a passing league this really is. And the fact that it is a passing league, yes, but when you are up 23-9, you better find a way to establish a run game. And the excuse of, well, Morse is out, well, Ford is out, find a way. Great coaches find a way. Bill Belichick found a way when guys were hurt. Bill Belichick found a way to beat the Baltimore Ravens last night. Find a way. Joe Flacco doesn't deserve to make Joe Montana a ham sandwich, let alone pass him in all-time passing yards. But he did. It happened. Ryan Fitzpatrick has more passing touchdowns than Troy Aikman. It is what it is. I get it. But at the same time, if you're up 23-9 and you can't run the ball, you allow the team to creep back into it. And that's what they did. Michael Gerais, he says, biggest problem other than that final drive I have is watching Dawson Knox get destroyed in blocking schemes. How's your feeling on Knox? My biggest problem with Dawson Knox was wasn't there a moment in the game where Knox had a penalty or something like that? Something happened with Knox in the game that was not good. I don't know. He's a young player. He's got a lot of room to grow. That's for sure. I think that, we have potential and talent in that whole unit with Croft, Knox. I really like Tommy Sweeney as a rookie in camp. I thought he was really good. He constantly got open. But, Knox has got to be better. It's just that he's just got to be better. I'm not going to say he's a bust. I'm not going to say he's terrible. That's not what I do in terms of, looking at players on this team. Every one of these guys is really busting their hump, trying to make this team, better. And one thing I will say, and the optimistic take on the show today, is the fact that this team is good. There is no debating that. This team is good. They have paths to victory each and every week. We couldn't say that for 15 years, 17 years. We couldn't say that. This team had no identity for almost 2 decades. Now we can say that they do have an identity. They do have a coach that the players believe in. We know that, right? But that's the thing. We know that, and we know that this team can be better than what they have been. We know that this team deserves to be considered as one of the best teams in the league. And right now, they're still keeping things too close in the AFC East. This division is theirs to win and theirs to lose. It's up to them. So, Sam says McDermott's talking about running the ball every week. He has been talking about running the ball every week, and it hasn't happened yet. I don't know, guys. I didn't hear any update on Dane Jackson. He was a guy that played his heart out last night, and for him to go down, that really hurt. It hurt our secondary to not have Jackson, Norman, and Levi Wallace. I'm sure that, could be thrown up there in terms of the Hail Mary as well. I don't know. Credit to the Arizona Cardinals for this win. They deserve credit. The first tweet that I posted as well, was that the Bills didn't deserve this game. To blow a 23-9 lead, it's really not. I can't even come up with a word for that. I really can't. I'm speechless. For once, I'm speechless. They got me. It's despicable, to be honest. It's despicable to blow a 23-9 lead and lose this game, and to lose on a Hail Mary, and then to have the whole national media today, ESPN, CBS Sports, everybody's saying, oh, what a beautiful play. Well, what about the play that Josh Allen hooked up with Stephon Diggs that actually should have won the Bills the game? What about that play? Can we talk about that? Let's end the show with that. Josh Allen rolls out to the left. He throws kind of off of the right hash, kind of across the field. Diggs reaches down, scoops it, plucks it, rolls over it into the end zone. Touchdown Buffalo, 30-26. I mean, I think Josh Allen was accurate throughout the game yesterday. I thought that, he is getting better. I think he is getting better. I don't think he's regressed at all. I think he's accelerated his progression. And in his third season, that's what you want out of a young quarterback. That third year is extremely important for the next step to his progression. And year 4, year 5 is coming. Year 4 is coming. Year 5, he'll be here a long, long time. He's not going anywhere. So that's, I'm still optimistic about this team. I am. It's just, that was a real tough pill to swallow yesterday. It really was. My expectations beyond the Bills bye. We look at who they got to play. I'm going to look at who they got to play right here on my phone here. I say that this is a playoff team. This is a team that can make it. This is a team that they control their own destiny. They control their future. Nobody else controls their future but them. And I think that this team is far better than what they even believe. I know that they believe that they're good. I think they need to believe that they're great. I think this team can be great. I think this team has all the ability in the world to be great. And I think that we have a real opportunity here these next few years to do something for this city that has never been done before. A major championship in the Super Bowl era, Stanley Cup era since 1970. The Sabres haven't won a Stanley Cup yet. The Bills haven't won a Super Bowl yet. I do believe that Josh Allen can lead the Buffalo Bills to a Super Bowl one day. Maybe even multiple Super Bowls. Yep. I said it. Will it continue with Brian Daboll? That's the question. And a lot of people are saying, man, he's done a fantastic job. He deserves a head coaching job. I would agree with that in certain facets. I would agree with that. If he wants to take a head coaching job, There's only 31 of them. He's not going to get Buffalo, so there's only 31 other head coaching jobs. I'm not going to hold it against him if he takes one, but I'm also not going to be like, man, I really miss that guy. I'm just not. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not the biggest Dable fan. That is well known. And, the areas that he has succeeded in are expected. The areas that he hasn't succeeded in are the same areas that he hasn't succeeded in the last 3 years. Almost, is really his whole offensive coordinator career, play calling career. He hasn't succeeded in that facet of being an offensive coordinator. And then people say, oh, wow, the trick plays. What about the Buffalo special? A lot of teams are running plays like that. He's not drawing that in the dirt on his own. So it is what it is, guys. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, Buffalo Bills post-game show. Week 10, the Buffalo Bills fall to the Arizona Cardinals by a score of 32-30. Expectations beyond the bye. You got to go up against the Miami Dolphins again. You got Tua Tagovailoa now at the quarterback position. He's 3-0. I think Miami is starting to rally around this kid. We got a real tough game coming off the bye against the Los Angeles Chargers and their young stud, Justin Herbert. Chargers defense has glimpses where they can be dynamic. Anthony Lynn, that's a great play caller. That's a guy that can make great play calls for his offense. And we'll see what happens. I'm not as worried about the San Francisco 49ers as I was when the schedule first came out, being that San Francisco has a ton of injuries and they've just been kind of lackadaisical all season long, but there is still a lot of football left, and that is what that is the perspective that I need to put things in for the Bills fans at home. We're 7-3. We could go 12-4 still. We could go, 13-3. Who knows? We could go 10-6. We could go 11-5. I think realistically, this team has the ability to be a 10-6, 11-5, best case scenario 12-4 team. I see a loss in there somewhere, depending on who they play. The Steelers probably be the one that sticks out to everyone as the toughest matchup the Bills have the rest of the way. They are undefeated, and they haven't looked, they haven't looked back, really. So thank you to everyone that tuned into this video and commented on the actual stream. Those of you that tuned in on the audio side of things, thank you so much as well. Take care, everybody. Go Bills. I will be on Wednesday with a guest, kind of looking at the Bills beyond the bye, diving into that a little bit more as this season, or as this week wears on. Wednesday at 1:00, I'll be joined by a guest. Stay tuned for that guest. It'll be a good one. I'm excited. So stay tuned. Take care, and go Bills. Let's keep fighting. Hope for the best. Take care.